Hi, this is Samantha Anderson, Director of Communications for Newton Public Schools, and I'm here with Superintendent Dr. Ham, and we're trying a new way for our Facebook Live Q&As. We're hoping that this will be a little bit smoother. Leave us a comment if you like it or if you don't, and we can kind of move on from there. So, as always, leave any questions you may have in the comments section. And if you're watching this video after it's done being live, so it doesn't have the live symbol, just make sure you either message us our questions or email us at info@usc373.org so they don't get lost. So anyway, I'm going to switch over to Dr. Ham, and she's going to explain to us why we are meeting virtually. Dr. Ham? Can you tell us why we're meeting virtually?
Oh, yes, sorry. I can hear you and see you, so that's a good thing. We're meeting virtually because I am still in quarantine, and I believe today is day 10. So I only have 4 more days after today to go, and I'm really excited about that and excited to get back to the office next week. But that's why we're here.
All right. Could you just let us know where we are right now as a district, where we are in our planning and what's going on?
Well, this week the teachers have administrators have spent a great deal of time putting together the continuous learning plan. Many teachers have already reached out to students and began making those connections again after spring break. And so that part is well underway. Next week, they will actually begin delivery. Most of next week, they'll be focused on, again, reconnecting with students, finding out where they are and how they are from being gone and being at home these last few weeks. And then we will continue the rest of the school year with the essential skills that we feel that kids actually need to absolutely have before they go on to the next grade level. So appreciate all the efforts of our teachers and administrators as they've worked through that process. Lots of collaboration has gone into that. In addition, this week we started serving meals to students, and we have served upwards of 1,400 meals yesterday and today. So we are very, again, appreciative to our food service staff that are out there putting those meals together and then handing those to our parents and students. As we do that process, we also have to be very, very careful and cognizant of our cleaning routines and our sanitizing and disinfecting. So our custodial and maintenance staff have been very busy doing those types of things. In addition to that, we've had students in the building today and or picking up items from their schools today. And I know that teachers were excited to see students, and hopefully students were also excited to see teachers. And we again worked through that very carefully, following all the CDC guidelines and making sure that we were doing proper cleaning in between groups of students if your student had to go into the building. So again, a lot of people being very busy. We delivered tagged and bagged over 2,000 computers to have those ready to send home with kiddos that don't normally take their computer home. So it has been a busy week for a lot of staff people as they've really tried to totally change how we do things.
All right. Someone was wondering if there is a place to locate a menu for lunch and breakfast. They just have some allergies in their family.
Okay. I do not believe that we have those published at this time, but we will take that suggestion and see what we can do about getting those published.
Someone was also wondering how IEPs are being handled.
Well, right now, this week, teachers have been working to address that and what that will look like. We have still been waiting for direction from the federal government and state, and we have gotten some of those things answered. So teachers will be reaching out to parents and students in the next week to begin those services. They're going to look very different than they have in the past. And so as we go through that process, it's going to be important that the communication between the parent and the teacher is strong, as well as the administrator. Other aspects of IEPs, such as eligibility meetings or IEP meetings, will continue on as they have in the past, except that they might be done virtually instead of in a face-to-face situation. But all of the same people present, the same kind of process, that kind of thing will be the same.
All right. Cassandra Lehman wanted us to know that she just picked up her daughter's stuff from Sunset and they did a great job. So that's good to hear. Someone asked if we should go into shelter-in-place status, will meals still be available?
Yes, because in most counties in the state, unless this is different for Harvey County, most counties have excluded essential services, and meals through schools is considered an essential service, so that will continue.
Someone said that Sunset yearbook orders were due on the 16th. How would we go about getting one of these?
I think if you contact the school next week, either through your teacher, your child's teacher, and or the building principal, that will be the easiest way to get that answer taken care of.
Someone said they haven't heard anything from Cooper about how their girls will be working on school through this. Do we have any insight available right now?
Just that, I know they have been working very hard, and those teachers will be reaching out next week. If you haven't heard from anyone by Monday, I would suggest that you reach out to info at usd373.org, and we will connect you with the appropriate person at the school so that we can make sure that the information is available to you. Again, the teachers rely heavily, and our system right now is relying heavily on making sure that the information in our Infinite Campus is correct as far as email addresses and phone numbers, those kinds of things. So if there's been any change in that, it's possible that the information is not correct in Infinite Campus, which then also would delay a teacher's response or a school's response to your questions or concerns.
A couple more shout outs to Northridge and to South Breeze for their handouts. Thank you so much for sharing that. If we would like to choose to switch our child to our own homeschooling, how can we do that?
You would again need to contact the school so that you can unenroll your child. And then there is a process for going through the state to enroll in a homeschool situation. So you would need to contact KSDE for that information, and that's the Kansas State Department of Education.
Someone was wondering if food service and custodial service were being given any sort of protective items.
Again, we are following the CDC. So again, people are working 6 feet apart. The social distancing is part of that, and of course, washing hands. We're also using gloves and disinfectant and disinfectant wipes, those kinds of things, continually.
Okay. I think I got the answer to this one. Someone asked if they missed the computer survey, how do we sign up? She's moved from the district, but her son's still finishing up. You'll need to call ETC sometime next week, and they'll help you work on that. I think we've answered the yearbook question. Someone asked if the virus starts spreading and getting worse, will the breakfast and lunch still be served? Worried about only myself, but taking the virus back to her family.
Right, and again, we're asking our staff members to self-monitor. So if there is any, if they're not feeling well, that's certainly not to come to work. But we are also would consider making changes if we had anyone that was diagnosed within our staff. And again, at this time, we're monitoring everyone, or asking them to monitor themselves, and keeping in close contact with the Harvey County Health Department.
One person says that their student hasn't really gotten much information about his high school classes. Are they still starting next week?
Yes, they will be starting next week. Teachers were not necessarily required to reach out sooner than Monday. So it may be that the teachers that he has are working hard on just getting everything ready for Monday. So he should look for something and hear from them. If not, contact Lisa Moore at usd373.org, and she will make sure to connect with the teachers and make sure the student is connected with the teachers.
I think that answers your question, Robert, too. Someone else asked, if my son doesn't do the online school, will he be held back?
Again, our requirement from the state is to ensure that we're providing continuous learning. So we need to have every student participating. If students don't participate, will they be prepared to move on to the next level? And so each of those questions would be answered before any recommendation for not advancing a student to the next level.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? We've reached the bottom already, which is rare. One question that always gets asked, and we'll be sending information about it later. If you paid up for if you paid for pay to play, will you be getting your money back?
Yes, in fact, all of those checks and or refunds have been issued. If they paid through RevTrack, they need to check their RevTrack account. And if we know to send them a check, they should be receiving a check in the mail within the next few days. My understanding is that all of those have been refunded except one, and the exception was a foreign exchange student that had to already go back home. So looking at figuring out how to get that refund back to that student. So at any rate, all of those have been issued. So if you have any questions or concerns about not having that next week, then contact the district office, specifically the business office, and they will help you.
If you didn't get a Chromebook for your child but have a laptop at home, I guess they don't have internet access at home. Is that another ETC phone call maybe?
I would recommend that, yes. I know that the technology department is still trying to assist parents and students in finding resources. Another option for them would be to take their computer in their car and go to a parking lot by a school, and it could be any school. It doesn't have to be the one they attend, and utilize the computer in the car. They should be able to connect to the Wi-Fi within the building by being in the parking lot.
Destiny, why don't you shoot me an email at info@usd373.org so we can talk. I can find someone to talk to you more about your students' specific needs and questions. When can NHS students get their stuff?
I'm sorry, when can a what student?
And Newton High School students.
Oh, okay. Newton High School, I believe seniors and juniors were today, and freshmen and sophomore will be on Monday. If for any reason that a student missed their opportunity, they need to contact Lisa Moore at the high school so that we can make arrangements for them to get their items out of the school.
Have we found anything out about Justin's graduation items they bought and can't use?
No, I don't have any information on that yet.
This may be a good question to talk to your teachers about, but one mom says that she has children ages 7, 5, and 3. Any recommendations on how to keep them focused?
Well, hopefully the teachers will be providing that information. Also, we'll be posting on our website some information from the Kansas State Department of Education regarding how parents might work with students at home that might be beneficial. And I am thinking that it's, trying to see if I have it open, and I don't think I do. It's the Kansas Parent in Guidance, I think, Continuous Learning Guidance. We will post that on our website and make sure that that information is available to parents. Teachers will also, I'm sure, be sending parents some suggestions for working with students. Very young students will be having limited time on the computer, and it will be other things that will be more focused on things that you might already do as a family, such as reading together, making something, or drawing, or things like that that many families would already be doing. So.
Okay. Do we have any more questions right now? Someone says, thank you for doing this. You're welcome, Christy. I
might also add that our entire learning plan, continuous learning plan for the district, will be posted on our website too at a future date. Right now it's not, it's still in draft form, and so we're still working through making sure everything is in there. And that information will go to the board a week from Monday at a special board meeting on April 6th. And so after that, it will be posted so that the families and community members will see exactly what's contained within our plan.
One person asked, how is online school going?
I can't hear you say. Oh.
I muted myself instead of unmuting myself. One person asked, how is online school going to work?
Well, it will depend on the teacher and the grade level and age of the student as to how much time students are expected to work in this online environment and what that will look like. So for some grade levels, it might be that there are some opportunities for students to meet one-on-one with teachers, either to get extra assistance or for mentoring purposes. There might be some small group opportunities where teachers are engaging 3 or 4 students in particular concept or skill work. So it could look very different. It could be the students watching the teacher present the lesson through something that has been recorded, and then doing independent work afterwards. So there could be a variety of ways that teachers will be working with students in this environment. It will not necessarily be students just sitting in front of a computer like I'm doing right now, for multiple hours. It will not be that.
Someone asked, will online school begin on Monday? I think we covered it, but just as a reminder.
That is the scheduled date for things to start. Now, that does not necessarily mean that students would be online on Monday. It might be that their teacher is calling them. There could be a lot of ways that that information will be shared with students, and then what the expectations will be. But next week is the week that teachers are going to be starting instruction.
Someone is concerned about their son who does machining and how he'll get his certification, because you can't really do it virtually.
Correct. I believe that is being addressed at the high school, but if you feel like you haven't received any information yet, the person to contact would be Blake Smith. Mr. Smith is one of the assistant principals out there, and he is overseeing the career technical education program. I know that Mike McConnell with welding has devised a plan that has been approved. It follows the CDC recommendations and all of those kinds of things for the welding students. So I know that's in place. So again, if you haven't heard from your child's specific teacher, then I would reach out either to the principal or the teacher next week.
We've talked a little bit about IEPs, Jen, so just watch the beginning of the video for that answer. Someone says that they're in the process of providing appropriate age homeschooling. Can he provide those working items to be submitted for grades?
I don't know. I really can't answer that question. He would need to contact the school and the teacher, and if it follows what our standards are and what needs to be completed, then I think that would certainly be a possibility.
This may be more of a school question too, but someone was wondering if there was an individual plan for students who are already behind.
Again, the teachers will be working with students and addressing student needs wherever that student is. So if a student is already receiving some extra supports, they will also continue receiving some extra supports through this program. It will look different than it has in the past.
Someone was wondering if they get a check in the mail for the kids' lunches that they have already been paid for the year.
On the lunch refunds, the options are going to be different this year than maybe what we have done in the past. Parents will get a letter either emailed to them or in the mail sometime next week regarding that. So you'll have some different options. You can either carry it over till next year, you can request a refund, or you can have it transferred to another student's, another sibling, another child in the family. So for instance, if you had a high school senior that was graduating and you had $20 left, you could transfer that $20 to your student for next year. So be looking for that information. That'll be coming out next week.
Again, we've touched on this, but we'll reiterate it because we are getting a lot of questions. How will students who have 504 get extra support they need to function and do their work?
Again, it will depend on the student and what the team decides for that student with the 504. So I would suggest that you contact the teacher and or the building administrator for that building and reach out to them for the specifics on your child.
And for Parents that didn't submit the tech survey, just call ETC sometime next week, and they should be able to help you with that. There is also still a learning survey that you should fill out as well if you haven't done that. There are a couple new changes for the food program that we'll be emailing out this weekend, just so you know. They're going to ask people to open their trunks, and they'll put the food directly in your trunk. So when you're up in the front of the line, just open your trunk and they'll put it in there for you. They also want to remind you that you can only get food from one school. So just take all your kids to the one school and don't go to different schools. Does anybody else have any more questions? Maybe we've answered all the questions already. There's no more questions. For those of you who do driver's ed or interested in driver's ed, they will still have their meeting on April 1st. It will just be a virtual meeting. So it'll be very similar to this, actually. We'll be able to put a presentation on the screen. So you'll be able to get all your information, and then for those who can't make it, we'll have the recording available. So the hope is to be able to do driver's ed, but it just depends on what the CDC guidelines permit. Well, do you have any other information you'd like students to know right now, or?
I don't have anything specific to share other than we know and we understand that this situation has totally rocked everyone's world, from students to teachers to parents. We want to do everything we can to support our community and our parents. So please continue to reach out. We will continue to have these opportunities for you to ask questions. We encourage you to reach out through the email info@usd373.org and to your schools and the teachers within your schools. Everyone is working really hard at creating learning situations that we have never had to create before to help support families and our students. I think our teachers were so excited to see kids today and to know that they could make those connections again. I know from having to work at home this last week or so that it has been very hard not to be in the office with the people that I work with every day and trying to do this virtually. So it is nice to have those opportunities. I know that Sunset, for instance, has planned a parade, if you will. The teachers are going to be going out in their cars and driving through neighborhoods next week, and I know they're very excited to do those things so that they can make sure that kids feel connected still with them and with the schools. We know that this is hard, and again, just appreciate all of the support and help that we have received from our parents and our staff members, and look forward to continuing serving you through the month of May. So thank you for everything that you're doing to help your students and our community.
Okay, we did get a couple more questions show up. What is the school doing about families that don't have internet? I would just call ETC next week. They sent out a survey to figure that out, but the survey is closed. So just make sure you call them so they're aware of your situation. My son had just started at the high school and only had been there for a week or two before this happened. How can I get his account to log into Infinite Campus? Is that an ETC question too?
I think that might be a parent portal question. And so contacting Lisa Moore would be the best bet at getting them where they need to go to get that question answered.
Someone wanted to know what time South Breeze pickup was. I have it pulled up on my phone. It's 2 to 7 today. Someone asked, what do NHS students do on Monday? We've kind of touched on it. Just check your email. Your teachers will be emailing you. So the most important thing to do on Monday is to check your email.
And if you don't see something in your email, make sure you check your spam.
Someone asked about Spanish-speaking emails. We do send those out in Spanish. Sometimes there's a slight delay just due to the time of translation, but we are sending out, I think, so far almost all of our messages and phone calls and texts in Spanish. Again, sometimes it's a couple hours later because we want to get the information out as fast as possible, but they should be getting those. If they aren't, email us at info@ust373.org. Christopher, if you don't have internet, please contact ETC next week. I think this depends on your teacher. Jeff wants to know when students expect any assignments, and that's just going to be different per class, I'm guessing.
Yes, and again, teachers will be reaching out next week if they haven't already. And so if they have not heard from a teacher by midweek, please contact the school or contact us at info@usd373.org.
Okay, we're back at the bottom of questions. We're getting through them very fast. I guess one thing that might be interesting to parents, can you explain what the waiver is and how that works?
Well, our waiver is requesting, I don't know how much parents know about the requirements for schools, but schools are required to be conducting what we would call face time or seat time with students, and we have to meet a certain number of hours per school year, and we track that all year long. So whenever there's a snow day or whenever there's a professional day or a work day for teachers, we track all of those different days, and the time is counted differently depending on the day. So student contact time, though, we have to have 1,116 hours. Well, this situation that we're in right now prevents us from being able to accumulate that number of hours. So one thing that the waiver does is waive that requirement for the state. We have to submit what we are doing instructionally for students so that the state has some assurances that school districts are continuing to provide education throughout the school year. If we were not to do that and did not receive a waiver, then for every day that we are missing now, we would have to make up later. And as we get into the summer months, that becomes more and more difficult with parents and activities that are already planned ahead of that, in addition to a number of other things that would make that very difficult. So that's part of what the waiver will do. Other parts will be things about our employees and employee benefits. Part of the requirement that the legislators provided was that we continue to pay our employees. So we will be continuing to do that. I think those are really the big requirements of that waiver.
All right. Someone also asked if ETC had someone to speak Spanish to parents who need a translator, and we would be able to find one for you. It may, we may have to call back at a later time, but we do have people in the district that can help with that. So we appreciate you asking those questions so we can pass that along. Thank you, Monica. I think that's all the questions we have. Oh wait, nope, here's one more. I don't know what this question's in you may, will EMT meet in person at all? And will they get to do ride-alongs?
Okay, I think that has to do with the medical technicians, the emergency medical technician, I think. EMTs would be our paramedics. And so we have a class for that. And that would be one of the things that Hutch Community College would be working in conjunction with the school district to provide. So I would think that that some aspects of that would be able to continue because it wouldn't be in violation of different CDC requirements. But again, they need to reach out to the teacher of the course to get that information.
One person asked if Latchkey would be back.
We are working on that right now, actually. Latchkey, again, is one of those essential services that still has to follow some of the CDC guidelines and those kinds of things for the size of the group, the stability of the group, and cleanliness and all of those kinds of things that are required, social distancing. So we're working on that right now. We hope to have information out next week about that. We are hoping to be able to have enough staff and be able to meet the conditions to have 2 sites available. So we're working on that right now.
Okay. We are back to the end of our questions, so that's good. I think if no one else has any questions, we may stop this session. We'll have probably plenty more over the next couple of weeks. We appreciate everybody who does tune in to watch. I'll give people a little bit more time to ask a last minute question. If you do have a question, you can still Facebook message us or email us at info@usc373.org. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you, Dr. Ham, for being here.
Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you for all your work that you've done over the last couple of weeks. I know that the communications have certainly increased over the last couple of weeks. So appreciate everything. Appreciate all the questions from our community. And again, thank you for everyone's work in providing a quality education for our students.
All right. Thank you.